NTER, what's going on, bro?
What's going on, bro?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
First time on DME, welcome, bro.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me.
What have you been up to? You seem like you've been busy as.
Busy, built a studio at home, and just been grinding to get this EP out by September.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
Yeah, man, I've been seeing you dropping snippets after snippets on Instagram.
Yeah.
Going ham.
Yeah, just trying to keep up.
Yeah?
All these youngins these days, man, it's hard, you know?
Take us back a bit, man, you know? Take us back to the start. Like, how did it start for NTER?
Graffiti. Started with graffiti writing, just tagging trains, you know? Just wanted to get my name out there. So yeah, I started doing graffiti, just like tagging trains and then painting them and then hanging with graffiti crews and then drinking and then, you know, it just started. Then people just would always be rapping and I'm like, let me try that, you know? And then I could only rap about what was real, what we lived, how we were living and what situations we went through, you know? So I just started rapping about stuff like that and then it just took off from there. Like, started putting my stuff on Bebo, MySpace, and it just started getting view after view after view, and then just formed a crew with my brother Luke, Schemo, and Sky High, and then that's how Sydney Searchers come along, and I sort of left graffiti and started doing more music, and then we're doing shows, and then man, and then.
How long were you doing graffiti for before you started rapping?
About 5 years, since I was about 13. Yeah.
Was that another way to express yourself?
Yeah, because just like, you know, sometimes be bored at home late night, grab a can of spray paint, go out, just walk around thinking, tag and stuff, you know. But yeah, there's always like graffiti, music, plenty of ways to express yourself, you know what I mean.
Where did you grow up? South Hurstville, was it?
So originally I was born in Kalgoorlie in Western Australia, and then I moved to Newcastle when I was 5, and I lived in Maitland. It's just out of Newcastle. And then I moved when my mum died when I was 10. That's when I moved to Sydney, and then I lived in Hurstville my whole time.
Yeah. When your mum passed, did you feel like the streets were the only place to go?
Yeah, because I lived a normal life with my mum. Like, she was an alcoholic and that, you know what I mean. But then when I moved in with my auntie, there was a whole different ball game. My auntie was on drugs. She was a heroin addict, you know. So it's like I went from one hurdle to a massive leap. So and I'd never been in them sort of situations before. I was only just used to, you know, my mum being drunk, this and that. So moving straight into that was like, wow, you know what I mean. So there was really no love there. It was just like, all right, you put here because there's a roof over your head, but you know, it was sort of fend for yourself type situation. So that's what it was like since I was 10, 11.
Right. Because in your music, man, in your early music, there's a lot of pain, you know?
Yeah.
It seems like there's something you want to express, you know, through your music, and you can see it, you know what I mean? You can tell it from how you're rapping it and the lyrics as well.
Yes. You know? So with the music, where the way I express myself through music is I can't sit there and talk to a doctor or talk to some sort of therapist, you know what I mean? Because they just give you the wrong answers. And so for me, talking to a beat about what I've been through and expressing myself on music and then putting it out for others to hear, they can relate to that, you know what I mean? So that's why I do it. That's why it's sort of like pain music, but with a good positive, like a message, you know what I mean?
Right. Guaranteed. Sydney Searchers, how long were you guys were a crew for?
About 5 years, 6 years.
5 years?
Yeah, about 5 years.
And you guys were just tight making music and...
Yeah, well, I left home and I moved in with Sky, and she had a studio at her house, so we were just always making music, and then we started doing shows and that, you know, but there were some shows I couldn't do because I wasn't old enough to get into the venue, so I'd have to sneak into the venue just to perform. And then things just went pear-shaped after that, you know.
And then you started Trap Runners soon as that?
Nah, I took a break after the whole Sydney Searchers thing. I wasn't doing music, I was just doing my thing in the street, you know what I mean? Like, in all honesty, I was just making money. because I just had my daughter, my son was born, so I was just making money, you know what I mean? And then one day I was sitting in the house, got a message from Gunster from Hustle Hard, and he's like, "Hey bro, my name's Gunster, I run Hustle Hard. Do you want to do a video for my channel?" And I've never done a video before, and I'm like, "Yeah, alright, you know." So I wrote the return and then dropped that on Hustle Hard, and it just exploded. And then I don't know. After that, I was sort of like, I was back into music full swing, and then went on tour with Cursor. Run amok with him for a couple of tours, and then I come back. Then I started doing my own, like I was still doing my own thing, me and Gravy were pumping, and then I just started my own thing, you know.
What was that like starting Trap Runners? Was it a crew of your mates that you grew up with? And
yes.
You formed that relationship with them?
So it's me, at the original, like at the start it was just me and Mercs and one of my mates Jake. And then, but me and Mercs were the rappers, Jake was just, you know, he's our boy, so. And then we just started pumping out music, you know what I mean? Like just telling the story, like everyone thinks like Trap Runners is like a full big syndicate thing, but it's not. It's just like, you know, and you're stuck in a certain situation, it's like you're trapped, you know what I mean? So we're trying to run away from that situation, so we called ourselves Trap Runners. Because we all grew up the similar ways, you know? Mercs' mum passed away from certain things, my mum passed away from it, Jake's family's not all there, you know what I mean? So we all vibe off each other, and then we just expanded, you know? We brought Lux in, we brought Sesk in, we brought Gravy in, a couple others, and then yeah.
So you guys were kind of really connected through the struggle, and then expressed that through your music and through the streets as well. Right. How long were you guys together, the Trap Runners, before you were like? About
3-4 years. Yeah.
And then after that, you took a break again, did you?
Yeah, I got cancer. I got sick.
Right.
And
what was that like?
It was hectic, man.
Yeah.
That was hectic. It was just, I don't know. It was like you define life in that point of time. It's like, am I gonna live or am I gonna die? But you're already dying. You know what I mean? So you're dying, but then you're. It's like you're hanging on by a chance to say, all right, you know what I mean, we can save you. So it was a pretty hectic situation to go through.
Right. Back in the day, like when you guys were like city searchers, before you even came to starting Trap Runners, what connected you, bro? Because it seems like you really got a strong fan base, you know, and you're always rapping for the struggle. You think everyone would go through that struggle, really connected with you, and that's why you grew that?
Yeah. So it's more to do with the reason I got so big is because of the music that I was rapping about. It's there's a whole suburb of kids that can relate to that, you know what I mean? And it's like you go to the other side of the North Shore and the Harbour Bridge and that, not many people can relate to the life we live on this side of the bridge, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, you got your ghettos out there, but it's not what it is towards the city and towards the southwest and towards Western Sydney. You know what I mean? Like, people will take a trip from that side to this side, they'll freak, they'll shit themselves. You know what I mean? So a lot of kids can relate to it because me and Curse were like sort of the first ones to rap about that untold story. No one ever told that story through music, you know what I mean? And then when it got released, kids were like, hey, I go through this every day, you know what I mean? I'm going to listen to them. I don't know, it's like I was expressing how they felt through my music for them, you know what I mean? So that's why it just took off and it got so big. Everybody that come from that situation can relate to it.
Because one thing you do, and you always mention, man, you always rep for the housers,
100%.
The housing community, you know, and there's a lot of that in Western Sydney, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like everyone really gravitated to that.
Yeah.
Even myself, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm from them type of environments. You
know?
Yeah. You know? So I feel like that gives you a really a strong foundation, you know what I mean? And people that can never run out of that struggle.
No.
So you got a longevity.
Yeah.
You think that helped as well?
Yeah, 100%. Like the whole public housing system was put there for people that couldn't afford to live. You know what I mean? And it's a shit thing that the government just grabbed a whole bunch of people and just threw them in a spot and just left them there and didn't give them they didn't give them the help they needed, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, it's like in America they call it the projects because it was a project. It was a government project to see if these people could live with each other, you know what I mean? And it backfired, and it's sort of the same thing over here, you know what I mean? It's just an environment it's a shit environment, but it's home, you know what I mean?
Right.
So.
What was your early influences growing up? Before you even started rapping, who were you listening to? Were there any rappers that you were listening to in Australia, or was it outside of the States?
Nah, I never. Oh, Australian music, yeah. Before I started rapping, I listened to Hijack and Torture. A little bit of Too Loco, like, and Forte just before I started rapping. But America, it was always like Boosie, you know what I mean? Lil Wayne, Hot Boys, real Southern 3-6 Mafia, like South rap, you know what I mean? Like, I pride myself on being like the Australian Boosie, you know what I mean? Like, I love Lil Boosie, so,
Right.
yeah.
Because the struggle kind of does relate, in
Yeah.
some way, you know? They
Yeah.
get us every day, you're getters every year.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And no one was doing what you were doing when you started, so you kind of was an idol.
Yeah,
Right? You paved the way.
yeah.
Where do you think gutter rap is at the moment?
It's there. I mean, it's not as big as drill music, you know what I mean? And it's not as big as, like, mainstream commercial music, but it's there. Like, back before there was drill, there was gutter rap, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't have your chillinets that were blowing up and making Australia massive on the map, you know what I mean? You just had gutter rap. You had grime. Grime's always been there, but it wasn't as big. But gutter rap's there, you know what I mean? Like, I'm slowly starting to bring, not bring it back because it never went anywhere, but just make it louder, you know what I mean? You still got Rops there killing it, like, you know what I mean? He's not a drill rapper, he's not a grime rapper. He can do all that, but he's a gutter rapper, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Right. Do you feel like, explain the difference between what gutter rap is and what drill is?
Alright, so gutter rap is like, gutter rap is like housing commission music, you know what I mean? It's like street music, drug deal music. Your mum's the alcoholic music, my dad's the alcoholic, my mum and dad are junkies, you know what I mean? They don't rap about that in drill. In drill, it's all about jumping out 10 deep, doing this, and you know what I mean? Where a gutter rap, it's more like you're telling a story of a struggle, you know what I mean? It's a struggle music, so there's a big difference between it. The beat's different, the style's different, the flow's different, the stories are different, you know? It's two completely different genres, two completely different stories, you know what I mean?
I see. So, when you took a break, right, from Sydney Searchers, what struggles and what was life really like, you know what I mean, an everyday of NTER?
It was hard because I was used to just doing, I had to learn to live as a normal person, you know what I mean? Because I met my missus, and then I had my daughter, then I had my son soon after, so, and then I was doing things, this and that, you know, and then I realised I had to live as a normal person in society, so I had to get a job. And I had to adjust to all of that sort of shit, where I used to wake up anytime I want and not have to go out and work for money, where I was waking up at 5:30 just to make shit money. So the adjustment was massive, but I adjusted, you know what I mean?
Right, you felt like you had to do that for your family.
Yeah, I had to do the right
You know
thing.
what I mean? Was music making a lot of money back then?
Nah, there was no money in music back then.
Was it just for passion?
Just for a passion, you know what I mean? There was no money because back then when I was in Sydney Searchers, you didn't have streaming platforms. There was no iTunes. There was no Facebook. There wasn't even YouTube. It was just Bebo and MySpace. You know what I mean?
Right. And you were doing big numbers back then.
Yeah. So like the most plays you could get back then on MySpace was 1,500 a day. I was doing that every day.
Right. So you were the man.
I was a man on MySpace.
Right. Currently, like, cause your Instagram is brand new. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You were seeing another interview that I think you went to jail or something.
Yeah. So I went to jail last year in March.
Right.
And then when I was in jail, I just hated music, you know, because I don't know, I got to jail and everyone was in there, they're like, oh, you're him, you're the rapper, this and that. I was like, yeah, you know, it was all love, there was never any dramas, but it just, like, people expected shit, you know what I mean? Like, I'd go to a room, they're like, hey, bust a freestyle, bust a rap, and I'm not about that, you know what I mean? You can't put me on the spot to rap, I don't do that, you know? Like, I'm not one of them rappers that I walk into a room and start rapping for you. It's just, you know, I perfect my art, so I've got to put time and effort into it.
So freestyle was never like something
Nah.
you kind of put.
Yeah, pen and paper, you know what I mean? Because,
it out.
yeah.
Right. This project that you got coming out, how close is it from completing?
I got 2 more tracks to do, record, and then it's just, after that, it's just all sorting the beats out with the producer. I'm in, like, me and the producer are in talks now, produced by Mikey Joes from the UK. So we're just going to sort out what we're going to do with the beats, and then the cover work got done last night. So it's almost done.
Is there any names that we know on it?
Oh,
Features?
there's no features.
No features.
Oh, actually no. There's one. I'm waiting on a hook now from Pabs. Do you know Pabs?
I heard of him.
It's from One Lane Studios.
Right.
Yeah, UK, real good. And then also Rops as well.
How about that snippet that you put out with Sally on it?
Yeah, that's on there too.
Is that on it?
That's on there. Someone leaked that.
That's a rare one to have. How did you get that connect?
So I've known Sally for a while, you know, like before 1-4 was massive. Me and Sally were boys, you know. We done a show in Queensland, and Sally was actually living in the Gold Coast, so he come down to the show that night. That's when I first met him. And then we finished off the tour, and then come back to Sydney and finished off there. And then Sally come and he brought like, I don't know if JMs and that were there that night, but he brought like a few boys with him, you know what I mean? And they were all backstage chilling, good dudes, just chilling, kicking back. And then we were always meant to do something, me and Sally, you know. And then he was just off doing his own thing. He started, him and his crew, they kicked off, you know. And then unfortunately he went to jail. But he calls me on the phone and that, you know, and he's like, "Oi, can you go to the studio this day and plug the phone into this? I'm gonna spit it free over the phone. I'm like, yeah, done, you know." So he'll rap over the jail phone, then we'll run it through a program through the studio, and that's how we get the quality we can.
So that's how you got that feature.
Yeah.
That's a rare one to have.
Yeah, I've got a couple, bro. I've got a couple sitting there with him.
What's the name of it? This one?
We haven't even put a name to it yet.
So you just kind of.
Yeah. So I played it on my live, and someone screen recorded it and then leaked it onto YouTube, which that's shit action to do that, you know, like leaking someone's music. It's like telling on someone. So and they've put their own name to it called My Hood, but there's still another verse that's not on there. There's still a lot of things that aren't finished with that track, but the track's done. It's ready to go.
What's your current opinion on rap these days, man?
It's good. It's in a good place. Like, it's good that it's getting the exposure that it deserves, you know, because we put all that time and effort in and it didn't get the exposure, so we felt like we failed, you know what I mean? Doing what we're doing. And then now it's just blowing up everywhere. Like, you got one of the biggest tracks, that Rover out of the UK, and you got Sydney boys on a remix, you know what I mean? That's hectic.
Do you feel like you guys failed, or do you feel like you guys really paved your way and had your time and kind of set back a bit, and then let the new generation came in?
Yeah, you could say that. Like, we paved the way, but I don't feel like anybody owes me anything. You know what I mean? I don't feel like the new generation owe me nothing. Like, they don't owe me anything. I don't owe them nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't write their music for them. I don't put their music out for them. You know what I mean? They do their own thing. I just kicked it all off, you know. And when the wave of all these new artists come through, it was massive, you know. It was just boom, it was one after another, and it still is like that. It's just building and building. It's only getting bigger. This whole wave of all these new artists coming through. So.
Right. But with this artist blowing up, right? Because you guys back in the day, you guys were really Aussie rap with accents and all that. But now, and you guys were blowing up as well, you know. But now in this current state, it feels like everyone that's doing and blowing up in the music right now, they're kind of using overseas accents. And do you think that that's authentic, and can that be approved by someone like you?
Nah, like, you got for instance, so here's a perfect example. Snowy Badman, the bloke's been in jail for 10 years. All he's listened to is UK music, you know. He raps like he's from the UK, man them, all that, you know what I mean? So that's all he's listened to, that's all he knows, you know what I mean? But then you got these other guys that have got a whole range of music they can listen to, and they've seen it and they're doing it, and they've jacked the whole genre from the UK. It's UK. Australia has jacked the whole UK style and tried to do it here, and they've done it here, you know what I mean? Like, but then you hear people like in their tracks like Esho, you know what I mean? If saying that 10 years ago, if you said that out loud, people used to laugh at you, you know what I mean? People don't even know what the word means.
What's that word? Because you speak around it a lot. Explain what an Esho is really.
Esho?
Esho, yeah.
It means like yes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So just a plain yes.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Esho, yes. Esho, you know what I mean? Esho. You know what I mean? It's pig Latin, so for yes. And like, people don't understand. Like, they call lads, like back in the day we weren't called lads, we were called searchers, you know? There wasn't like I don't know where the term lad. Like people are like, oh, he's not a lad, he's a eshay. It's like, nah, man. We back in the day, we were searchers because of the way we made money, the way we went out and looked for money and made it. You know what I mean? It wasn't about who was wearing Nautica and who had like the best clothes back then. It was about making money. So
I guess going back to the Australian sound thing, it feels like when you mention Australian rap, you think of people like you think of people like Cursor, right? But now when you mention Australian rap, you can't really, it's like covered by this overseas accent, you know what I mean?
yeah,
You kind of have to open the curtains to kind of go in
yeah,
and find out what really is going on in the underground, you know?
yeah. You got to dig deep. When I remember like when I got out of jail, because I had to restart my Instagram and all that, you know, restart all my socials. So, some page on Instagram shared one of my music, like shared a track of mine, and people commented on like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Oh, another wannabe. You know what I mean? It's like wannabe. You know what I mean? Like who you calling a wannabe? You know what I mean? Like the reason you listen to music is because I created this. You know what I mean? But I'm the wannabe. No. The people who you look up to are the wannabes. You know what I mean? Like, and then yeah, so like these kids, they don't know, you know, and I don't expect them to because they're arrogant. You know what I mean? They don't want to know. They're just going in what's in the trend at the moment. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So you feel like this thing is only a matter of time till it's gone? This wave of drill and all these other foreign sounds?
Yeah. Oh, no, actually, drill will always be there because it's so big now and everybody's trying it, and because they can pull it off, they're doing it, you know what I mean? But there's no authenticity in music, like, you know what I mean? Like, authenticity, like, I want to hear something that's, like, that's real, like, talk about the struggle, you know what I mean? Like...
Because it relates more, man, the struggle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it takes nothing for someone to rap about, oh, I done this, put on a mask, you know what I mean? And rap any lyric they can,
yeah.
You know what I mean? But for someone like you who says, I've done this, but I'm showing you this side as well, you know what I mean? The struggle, the pain, you know?
Yeah, it's you know what, everybody just tries too much. Everyone's like, they want to be real, everyone's real, this and that, you know what I mean? It's like, you could be the biggest rat, you could be the biggest dog, you could be the biggest snitch going, you know what I mean? You could be the biggest police informant, and you could rap, and you could have a big song, and it's going to explode, and people aren't going to care if you're a rat, you know what I mean? They're just going to go with you because that song's catchy, you know what I mean? So, like, people don't care anymore. There's no realness to the music. It's just, like, what's massive at the moment, so...
So you think a lot of rappers are getting away by claiming someone they're not in their lyrics?
Yeah, a lot of them. There's a lot of them, you know. There's a lot of them out there that are real, you know what I mean? Like, you can tell. Like, I've heard stories about certain rappers that's like, all right, you know, this guy's got a resume, you know what I mean? He's done this, like, and then there's other ones that are just like, come on, nah, you can't get on a track. Like, someone said to me the other day, stop lying. What am I lying about? What do I have to lie about in my music? I replied, I looked on his profile, every video he's got his face covered sitting at the computer table in his room. So he's another one that sits in his room with his face covered talking about things he doesn't do, you know what I mean? With his mum in the lounge room. Right. So it's just, yeah, there's no realness to it anymore, like, there's no, yeah.
So the game is lacking that authenticity.
Yeah.
Right. What's your take on the beef and the area code, that type of thing? Because you speak out a lot about it on Instagram.
Yeah, I hate it, man.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, you know, because there's like, you like my brother-in-law, he's a 19-year-old boy, you know what I mean? Of Polynesia, he's Polynesian. My partner's Polynesian. For him to be walking home, he doesn't get into any sort of trouble at all. He's a good kid, sits at home, plays his game, and that's it, you know what I mean? He's not into the whole area stuff, you know what I mean? What if he's walking home from the shop one day and gets pulled up on by... Now, when I got out of jail, I was at the top of my street, my mother-in-law street. I had a car of four boys pull up on me, asking me where I'm from. You got to ask me where I'm from in that area. You're not from that area. You don't ask, you know what I mean? Imagine if he was walking home from the shop and they said, hey, where you from? And they jumped him for no reason because he's from that area and they're from a different area. I go, where you boys from? They went to get out of the door, kicked the door shut. I said, where you boys from? They drove off. You know what I mean? So, like, the whole... And you got kids dying. You got kids packing blades this big on train stations, you know what I mean? And there's nothing but air between them. They're all sitting there. You know what I mean? It's all for show, and someone's gonna die. And that kid did die. That young Solomon boy, he was murdered, you know. And they didn't just stab him; they jumped him with knives. That's a weak cunt. You know what I mean?
You actually spoke you spoke about that on your Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And people took it like, oh, this guy's taking shots at drill rappers, he's taking shots at this and that, you know what I mean? But you actually just saying, these kids, they're getting influenced by what they're hearing, you know what I mean? Some of you people that are rapping about it don't even do it, but look what it can do to a young person.
Yeah, like I got messages saying, oh, you're taking shots at 1-4, you're taking shots at 21 District, and I'm just like, if I'm going to take shots, but I'm going to name people. I don't subliminal sneak diss. I'm not about all that shit, you know what I mean? I didn't get where I am sneak dissing, you know what I mean? If I see something, I'm going to pull it up. Nah, I didn't. It's about these kids that, a lot of them are Christians, Catholics, Mormons. They you know, they're brought up in a house full of God, and they just hear this music and they're like, I want to do that, you know what I mean? I'm gonna take a knife to school, and I'm gonna stab someone if, you know what I mean? Like, whatever happened to a fair one-on-one? But these days you can't even fight one-on-one. You got to have a one-on-one. There's a phone in your face. Your mates are gonna get dirty. You're gonna get bashed. So they're gonna jump in. You know what I mean? And then it's put all over the internet for everyone to see, and then that makes you want to retaliate. So then, you know what I mean? It's just the whole game's fucked up with the knife crime at the moment. You know.
What if someone was to say to you, oh, NTER, you can't really say this about this current music because back in the day you were rapping about doing certain things. What if that inspired someone else? What would you say to that?
We did that because these days it's all internet wars. You know what I mean? Like, we were really at war with other people in the street. We didn't put it on the internet. When we were going to war with people in the streets, we didn't have camera phones. You know what I mean? You're not going to upload something from the backseat of a car while you're driving past the house. Nah. So, you know what I mean? That's evidence there, right there. But if you can rap about that and get away with it. You know what I mean? There's a certain line between giving yourself up and getting away with it. You know what I mean? And people do say, oh, you're a hypocrite, this and that. And it's like, yeah, well, I was young and dumb. You know what I mean? And look where it got me. You know what I mean? Like, all these rappers, they're so quick to talk about we pull straps, this and that. I can guarantee you not one of them have been in the lounge room of a unit when someone's come busting through the door shooting a gun at anyone and everyone, you know what I mean? And you're in that lounge room just chilling, you know what I mean? Like, there are situations we've all been in, you know what I mean? And you're up, you're dodging, you're flipping tables, you're grabbing cushions, you're running, you know what I mean? Put half of these people in that position, we'll see what they'll do. They'll either fold or they'll dob, you know what I mean? Your life could have been taken right there and then, so you've got to retaliate. So we rap about what we went through, you know what I mean? I'm not out there now warring in the streets like I used to. No, I'm past all that shit, you know what I mean? That's why there's two sides to my music. Everyone's always just got the one side to their music of they're this, they're this, they're this, they're this, they're this. Where's your positive message? You know what I mean? So.
You feel like that left a toll on you, growing up in that environment where things like that can go wrong any minute, right? Did that leave a toll on your mental state, your mental health?
Yeah, man, like,
Did
massive.
It make you paranoid? Like,
all the time. Paranoia was my best friend, but my worst enemy, you know what I mean? But then also Forte always told me, he goes, it's good to be paranoid. Like, what do you mean? He goes, it keeps you on your feet, you know what I mean? So paranoia is just, it gets the best of you, but anxiety, all that sort of stuff, you know?
Where do you feel like your mental state is at right now? Because you speak, you get touchy on your lyrics, you know what I mean? Where is it at currently?
It's good, like, yeah, it's good, like, it's good now, like, I'm not smashing meds and that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, sometimes I go through my rough patch there where, like, shit's just going cuckoo, you know what I mean? And I'll go grab a handful of tablets, you know, like Valium or something, whatever, and then, but the mental state, it's good, you know what I mean? You gotta have it. You gotta keep a balance. You always gotta keep a balance, because if you don't keep a balance, things don't go right. So.
Currently within the scene, which rappers or artists, which group of like rappers would you want to collab with, or would you see yourself working with currently in the music scene?
I don't know, to be honest. I like the OTG boys, you know what I mean? They put out good music. But you just got to see there's a fine line with who, you know what I mean? Because, like, let's be real, you got 1-4, they beef with 21. 1-4 and Hefs and that boys, they don't get along, you know what I mean? And I'm mutual with these boys, you know what I mean? I don't really know 21 boys, but I know 1-4 and I know Hefs, you know what I mean? And I don't take sides in all that sort of bullshit, you know what I mean? That's got nothing to do with me. I'm mates with Selly. If I see Hefs or Hooks and I say, yeah, what's up? They both put out dope music, you know what I mean? So if it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, I'll do a track with them without these boys getting dirty. But then again, like what I do doesn't concern either parties, you know what I mean? But I'd love to do a track with both, with 1-4 or Hefs, you know what I mean? I was meant to have a track with 1-4 back in the day, but I went away, now I'm just focused on myself, you know what I mean? Like, but no, everyone, yeah, just.
Do you give advice to them when you see these people? Like, yo, this beef is not it.
Back in the day, not advice, or not really guidance. Just used to tell them, you know. Like I remember I had a conversation with Spenny backstage at one of the first show they ever done was one of our shows, and I had a talk with Spenny backstage, and I'm like, bro, I go, you just go out there, I go, and just picture an empty room. I go, no one's in that crowd, you know what I mean? I go, you just go out there, I go, and you just kill it. I go, that mic is your sword, cuz. I said, just go hard, you know, like, don't worry about fucking up. I go, it's just, you know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, nah, thanks, you know, I appreciate all of that, you know what I mean? So they always used to show us mad love, you know, because we always used to share their stuff and put them on their shows. And then I'd always, like, just tell Hefs, you know, like, bro, this track's banging, you know, like, just keep grinding, always. That's always tell them, just keep grinding, you know what I mean? Like, don't stop the work rate. The minute your work rate stops, your money stops, you know what I mean? So just keep grinding, that's it.
I feel like that's one of the best advice someone like you in your position can give to upcoming artists, you know?
Yeah.
Because you've been there, you've done that, you've seen the bad, you've seen the good, you've seen the ugly, you've seen the good, you know what I mean? So I feel like someone in their position would appreciate something like that, because I feel like it's needed, you know?
Yeah, it's always good to just not mentor, but like just give advice, you know, because they're still new to the game, you know, and people around them aren't going to give them the advice like that. People around them are just going to want to feed off what they're doing, you know what I mean? Like, so if you can just you know, be the one that's like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, what you're doing is good. Just stick to it, you know what I mean? Like, just move different, you know what I mean? If you're moving different to everybody else, you're not doing the same as everybody else.
Do you feel like the music labels should do that? Guide their artists proper?
Yeah, but if you can get the views, the streams, and the features, and the performances, you know what I mean, without a label, there's no point in even having a label. Just do it yourself, you know what I mean? Like, there's some rappers out there that haven't been in the game for like a year and a half, 2 years, and they're getting signed, you know what I mean? Because the label sees potential in them. Sees it, but, you know what I mean? So...
Because you speak a lot about like, oh, you can't just come out and drop one song and then jump on a tour. You haven't laid a foundation like a mixtape. There's no mixtape to be found, right? You're a strong believer in that?
Massive.
Right.
Massive. You got to look at all the greats, all the legends, you know what I mean? Everyone put mixtapes out. Like I put out 3 mixtapes before I put out an album, you know what I mean? And now I'm working on another EP, and I'm working on another mixtape after the EP. So, it was hard. It's a long road to get to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know, the way the game is now, you can do that, but you can drop that one song and explode. You know what I mean?
You think it has something to do with all this internet thing?
Yeah, it's the whole everybody just filming things, and you know what I mean? It's like the internet it's a massive platform. Without internet, there's no rappers, you know what I mean? And a lot of people just do it for the internet. So I'm not the sort of, like, you see people on the internet, they're there with their Louis Vuittons and their Gucci, or they'll go to dinner and take a photo of their food, but they've got to have their watch in it with their money, and it's like, bro, right now, cuz, I'm wearing a $20 jumper from Kmart, cuz. That's no bullshit, you know what I mean? It keeps me warm, it's on my back. That's it, you know what I mean? It's all for show, you know what I mean? And, like, people have got too much pride to say, hey, nah, fuck that, you know what I mean? I'm going to go buy a $2,500 jumper when their kids are rocking Kmart, you know what I mean? Nah, I'm not about that. So it's all for show. Just the internet is all for show, man.
Wow, I appreciate the talk, man. You know what I mean? Means a lot. Any last words you want to say before we wrap it?
Yeah, September. Watch out, look out for my EP, Silver Spoons. That's coming out, and I've got a new video coming out with Skem, probably next Sunday. So.
How many songs in the EP?
About 6.
6.
I was gonna do more, but it's just yeah. I think keep it short, sweet, and simple. It's some of the best music I've ever written, to be honest. So yeah.
You feel like that will jumpstart back to where you left the game?
Oh.
Put gutter rap back on the map?
Yeah, if it does, it does, because it's all the whole EP is. It's not like gangster music. It's the whole story of. I've taken everything, stripped everything back, and it's like from the get go, the upbringing. You know what I mean? Of losing my mum to where I'm at now. It's a whole storytelling EP. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
NTER, bro. Appreciate you coming on DME TV.
Thanks for having me.
Legend.
Sick cunt.
Let's do it.